everybody. Welcome to All That Matters and More. My name is Komiki, and you guys are probably wondering when is Tutu going to say her name. Unfortunately, she was not able to join us today. However, I'm definitely going to hold the fort down for me and her, okay? Also, guys, quick disclaimer, just to let you know that the content we will be providing today is for entertainment, educational, and informative purposes. Yes, purposes. And obviously, guys, the opinions that are and recommendations are no means professional or medical advice. Okay. So guys, today we have an amazing guest. Okay. Shout out. She is my cousin, I must say. So we have the lovely sports enthusiast, Sabina Nkomonde. Woman is so amazing in terms of sports, the way that she loves sports, the way that she, talks to us about sports 24/7. Literally, it goes into one ear, it goes out the other. Nowadays, it's even bleeding out of our ears. So this is our special guest. Hi, Mama.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I like that, you bleeding sports, because that's the whole point. You need to understand sport, you need to love it.
Yeah, and that's so amazing because I think, honestly speaking, from a young age, I really didn't know that you were into sport. Like we kind of knew, but I didn't think that you were actually going to try and obviously grow into it a lot more. Try to be a lot more involved as well. Because I do see you do go to a lot of games. You're actually even doing more than one sport. So tell us a bit about that. Tell us about yourself. Like what happened when you discovered you being a sports enthusiast. Like what's up? Tell us, Mama. We want to know.
First of all, okay, I grew up in a house that is full of boys. So it was either I love football or I fight for the remote. So the choice was between just making sure that if I want to enjoy staying in my house, I needed to fall in love with sports or fall in love with football. So for me, growing in a house that is full of boys, our brothers, and they loved football so much. And I started going to games with them, started joining them. They started teaching me, the game and everything around it, the rules of the game. And I fell in love. And the most important thing, with being a woman is first thing, you're going to find your favorite player. You're going to fall in love with them. And suddenly you just start following them wherever they go. Because honestly, we need to be real. A lot of us women who go into sport, especially those who never played it in high school or played in school, we start loving sports because we have our favorite players. You're like, that guy's hot. And then suddenly you fall in love with the sport.
That is so cool. And then can I ask, currently, who's your favorite player?
Because I'm a citizen, I'm just going to say Kevin De Bruyne.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But for me, the person that actually made me fall in love with football especially was Ronaldinho. That was my favorite player. So I'm a Barcelona, I'm a Catalonian, I'm a Keller all the way.
Listen to that.
So that's the whole point. And that's how I fell in love with football, I was in love with Ronaldinho, I was in love with Robinho. It was just everyone.
Yeah, no, I hear you. CR7, right?
No. Yeah. That's Cristiano Ronaldo. It's okay.
Cristiano Ronaldo.
It's okay. We forgive you.
Everybody forgive me.
We're forgiving you.
And I must say, what a time to be alive. For sports in South Africa, the way sports is literally evolving. And our players are doing really well. I mean, for example, the Springboks won the World Cup. Mm-hmm. The South African women's hockey team actually qualified for the Olympic Games next year. And I also think that, obviously the Proteas, yes, we didn't necessarily win the World Cup there.
But they did very well.
You know what I'm saying? They honestly was just such a massive effort from them. Netball, I do dabble in a little bit, but I also do know that they definitely did put their best foot forward, and they pulled through. The girls honestly did pull through, I think that there's so many other things that have also happened. I think those ladies, Banyana.
And also now, the Mamelodi Sundowns women's team, they just won a CAF, which is the biggest tournament, in Africa. So shout out to Sundowns, eh?
Yeah, no, shout out to Sundowns.
Shout out to Sundowns, especially women football now in South Africa. It's really much evolving. So I like that.
And I think that you're so right in saying women. I think that now sports is definitely a completely different ball game. We don't necessarily focus on the men, but also now it's sports for women, Obviously, another topic for another day, how we also need to also shop for the females,
Yes,
I think particularly what's interesting about sports for me is obviously just reading and going through a few articles, where I feel as if though mental health as well does play a massive impact. There was an article particularly that I was going through just to kind of figure out how is sports and mental health linked. And basically short term, the article just said how obviously these people are very like elite athletes. They're like high performing individuals, you know? So obviously that would promote a lot more of a healthier mental health than I guess somebody who necessarily, I don't want to say somebody who necessarily isn't a high functioning person, but when you link it to sports, you know? And I think for me, the article does contradict itself a little bit, you know, because I think that there are individuals who are high-performing elite athletes, but they have said, yo, like, I need to take a break because I'm going through mental illnesses, you know. People such as Naomi Osaka, Simone Biles, Serena Williams, Michael Phelps, I think those are obviously the more famous elite sports people that we do know that actually have taken the time to be like, yo, listen here, like I actually need to put my mental health first, you know? So I think that's the only thing that sucks is like, do you feel, you being a sports enthusiast and what you've realized, do you think that the sports people are getting the support that they actually need, you know? Or do you think it's just because we're all talking about mental health, let's just also jump on the bandwagon, you know?
Honestly, my thought around, you know what, people need to understand something. Sports is mental.
Okay.
It's a mental thing.
Yeah.
So firstly, if mentally you are not okay, you're not going to perform. So there's a lot of things that you need to consider when you are into any sports. I'm going to make an example with the sports that I like, for example, football.
Yeah.
How it could lead to depression or how it could lead to mental illness. You get to a point that you're a footballer, you're an athlete, and the only thing that you know is sports, it's football. And then you get injured. And some injuries, we're talking about, you can go for 3 months or 4 months not playing.
Yeah.
So it does a lot to a person who loves sports. Already 3 months or 4 months you're not playing. There's someone who's coming in your position, who's going to be playing, and you're sitting and you are being benched. You're thinking right now, chances, and again, you need to consider something. When you come back or you come back from the injury, you're not going to automatically perform at your highest level. And right now you have coaches, you have fans who are under pressure, who are putting you under pressure. They want you to deliver. They want you to perform at your highest level. So that also plays a very huge role in making sure that, you know, a lot of athletes, they go into depression. They're thinking, now I'm not going to be able to play because I'm injured for 3 months. Then there's another person who's going to come into my sport and who's going to take up. Again, you consider things like there's a lot of newcomers are coming in. These young boys are coming in. And then you think, for example, I'm a 35-year-old. I've been playing football for almost all these years. Yeah. Now you find coaches are talking about, we want to give more of these youngsters a chance. And that also, as a footballer or as a sports athlete, you're thinking someone else is coming to my space, so chances are I'm gonna get less play time. So that does a lot to your mental health, you know. So for me, like I said, if you're not gonna get support or there isn't enough support from your family or also from your teammates or also from your coach, your manager, it's a lot. It's a lot. You might actually get into depression, and we've seen it with so many athletes. So, and then that's the thing about now is a lot of athletes, like you said, they're coming out and they're saying, you know what, I'm struggling mentally, I'm not okay. While before then, you just needed to suck it up, you know, just move on, make sure the next game you pull up the same performances. But I think right now with a lot of athletes are able to say, can I take a pause? I'm not feeling well. So that's something I think we've moved away from people being afraid of saying, you know what, I'm going through certain issues. I'm not okay. Can I take a moment? So
Yeah. And I think, you know what, I'm so glad that you said that, because now you're pricking my brain a little bit, because I just always assumed that, you know, and I think it's safe to say that obviously because you are a high performing, you know, athlete, like you got this, your mental health is good. Because like you're saying, I think like when you and I were having a conversation, you were saying that a lot goes into the actual sport and for people to perform to the best of their ability, you know? So, I mean, come on, let's be honest, their diet is on par.
Oh, and when you're talking about diet, before you can go, I had a lot of us, especially sports athletes, they understand that, you know, the importance of keeping your physical health on point. Itself, it's pressure in making sure that, you know, you are fit all the time. Your diet, you know, you're not supposed to be under eating, you're not supposed to be overeating. Certain weight, you need to be better. We've seen a lot of players who did not get game time, and the reason would always be the person is not fit because they've gained weight. They're not able to get times because, you know, their weight is not in good condition. So there's a lot of things that happens, you know,
you know
to
what I'm saying? And I
that
think
leads to mental. problems.
Yeah, and I think that obviously we just assume that they've got people around them, and I think that maybe that's what we also need to stay far away from, is that because we have people around, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are getting the support that you need. And we also need to understand that those people, it's their job.
Yeah.
It's my job to be a dietitian.
Yeah.
If you wake up and you're happy that you don't necessarily want to eat, but you want to eat like maybe a packet of sweets, then that's not my issue. My issue is here to do the job. But we also forget that, like you're saying, there's so many factors that go into it. I didn't even think about it, like injuries, for example. Also, let's be honest, right? Like these people, this is their bread and butter. This is my job.
You know, youngsters coming in to replace the older ones.
You know what I'm saying? Pressure. Like now this is my job.
pressure,
I need to take care of back home. I need to do what I need to do to get ahead.
You need to put in the numbers, the same performances, be consistent every day.
Yeah.
The pressure from fans, something that you need to consider. We as fans, we are very, very brutal.
Yeah.
As fans, we are brutal, especially if you're going to love a certain sport, if you're going to follow a certain sport and you love a certain team.
Yeah.
You, as players, you need to always, like us, we want to, I want City to always win. I want Manchester City to always win.
Yeah.
So and I want Kevin De Bruyne to always get those passes crossed.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things. So if today he's gonna make me lose, or he's not gonna show up or have the same consistency as he did last, I'm not gonna consider the last game that he performed 100%. What about today? Tomorrow he wakes up, I hate you. I go on your Instagram. We go as far as going to their Instagram accounts. We go as far as doing crazy things just to send them messages of hate. I hate you. You did this. You made me lose. The team, it's falling apart because of you.
Yeah.
And we don't consider that us as supporters. We don't consider that, we also play a huge role.
a massive impact. And I think obviously with one thing that I think we also forget, right? And I think in our daily living, I remember I was having a conversation with someone and I'm like, you also need to remember it should be let me find a better word for it. You should be able to treat someone without wanting in return. Because remember, we owe it to each other to be decent human beings. You're a human being first before your sex, before your race, before your job title, before how you look, So I think with athletes as well, the other thing that sucks is that we forget that they are also human beings. And because also now they are in the public eye and things are changing and things are evolving so quickly, which is kind of like, we put you in this box of, but you're an athlete only, and that's how we're going to view you. We don't have time for you to be having a mental breakdown.
We put so much responsibility on them to make us. We put so much, sorry,
Hugo, we need to hear you.
I'm sorry. We put so much pressure on them to make us happy, also as fans. Other people feel like, I love this certain sport, and if I'm not going to watch it, if I'm not going to be a happy person. So we put pressure on responsibility of athletes. They need to perform so that I can be happy.
Ish.
So there's that.
So now
also
it's now going into sort of like kind of like a toxic push and pull. You need to give me in order for me to be satisfied. You need to give me in order for me to come to those games, to buy that very expensive ticket.
Exactly.
So sometimes that's why we see that they would have this sort of pressure, or they would feel a certain type of way when they necessarily aren't winning, or when they need to take a step back. It does take a massive toll on them.
It is.
And also to come back and to try and perform at your best level again. I can only imagine the type of pressure that they feel, And I think another thing, obviously, I'd like to find out from you when you analyze sports, and when you are an enthusiast. Do you think that there's a gap in South Africa? Do you think that we are not giving our sports people, the athletes, support the way that overseas do? Because overseas, they're very big on mental health and mental illness. I think that they take it a lot more seriously, but also we cannot necessarily blame it on our government. Their infrastructure is just a lot more better. They have a lot more resources, and it just seems as if everybody has access to a lot of things. And it's so easy for them to help them because they're not necessarily struggling the way that we do here in South Africa. So do you think that there is a bit of a gap?
I think there is a gap, like
and then,
you said.
Do you think it's a small one or is it big?
I think we are getting there. I think we're
so?
trying to. We're trying our best.
Now, do you think it's in sports specifically?
I think personally in sports, what I would say is, for me, it depends with also teams.
Okay.
I think that is very important. You look at, for example, I'm going to make an example about Sundowns. Mamelodi Sundowns, it's a very big team, and there's a lot of things that goes into how Mamelodi Sundowns are performing. We know they're like the biggest team in South Africa right now, and not only in South Africa, but in Africa.
Yeah.
So you could see with a lot of things, there are structures, the type of coaches that they get, the medicals that they bring in. So they put in a lot of money to make sure that their players are on par. So for me, it goes back to the team. It goes back to their house. It goes back to Kaizer Chiefs' house. It goes back to the Pirates' house.
Orlando Pirates,
back to, all these houses to say, how do you support your players? Do you have that relationship with your players? Are you able to spot if a player suddenly is dropping performances? Are you able to tell if, because I was watching this one podcast and there was those previous, retired players. They were speaking about certain coaches and specifically, sorry to name call, but they were speaking about Pitso Msimang, and they were saying, Pitso was able to pinpoint whenever we felt down. Pitso was able to come to our houses and ask us, are you okay? What is going on? You're not performing. I've seen, you've changed in training. What is going on? And he would literally go to their houses and visit them. So that says a lot. You're getting that support from your coach. So that's why I'm saying that at the end of the day, it depends with each house, the structure that they are putting, to make sure that their players are on par. So you look at rugby, for example, I liked what really happened. Just not sure. I remember we had the first match and we had one of the players who was supposed to take a penalty and he missed a penalty. And everyone in South Africa, like I said, fans are really brutal. We went as far as we don't want him to kick the penalty anymore.
Betrayal,
Yes, this is over. We're not going to win the World Cup and everything. But I liked what Sia did. Sia Kolisi, did an interview and he literally said, you know what? It was not his day today. He's still the best player. And just because today he missed the penalty, it doesn't define him as a player. I like that about him because it shows support from a teammate. It shows that you missed that. Move
it's okay,
on.
Yeah.
Imagine if no one in the team or no one, the coaches, the managers did not support that. Chances are he was not going to perform very well because throughout the whole tournament, he did very well after then. I don't think we've missed any penalty, if you can just say if we did.
Okay, I mean, clearly after that last one, at least,
we
there
did
was
not. Exactly.
No.
So it shows you that he got the support.
Yeah, and I think it goes far beyond what we think. Like, like you're saying, coaches and Sia specifically, I think the support needs to be there and it can't just be like, but because you have to support me, it needs to go far beyond. And I think also I think we need to take it upon ourselves, the fans, and I guess the people that are supporting them, that support goes far and beyond. You'll never know what little you can do or say to actually help someone. And you are right. Imagine in that case, if that guy had missed the penalty and Sia maybe necessarily didn't step in, what that actually would have done to him. And it would have had such a bad effect because then if you're performing badly, you're also bringing down the team. Now that's the one thing you need to worry about, And unfortunately, I'm assuming when it comes to sport, like you guys are like sports, you have a plan. You need to go. Once the plan is set, we're doing this, you need to go. There's no
Especially
time
in
to
big
stop.
tournaments.
Yeah. And then also another thing that was interesting, I haven't really done research on this and I think I need to look up on it. Like, they do have psychologists, obviously.
Yes, they do. They do.
But then is it a thing of there's only so much they can do? Because obviously, you know how there's levels to psych as well. So once you're a registered counselor, you're bound by your ethics. So there's only specific things that you can do, and then you just need to know how to refer properly to either a psychologist or, for example, a social worker, a lawyer, to obviously like intervene and assist wherever you are unable to do something to make sure that the client gets the full benefit. So do you feel as if though like the psychologists are just there to kind of help them mentally and then it's over and done with? Or should they be doing more?
You tell me if I'm wrong, but I would like to think they can read minds. So obviously, as an athlete, you need to know yourself. You need to know when you're just going under a high lot of pressure and you can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
For example, I'm gonna refer to
it's okay,
the recent things.
Remember, you're a sports enthusiast.
I'm gonna
so your example for all sports.
To recent thing. I just forgot his name, but one of our South African player who's playing for the Premier League, which is big. He's playing for Burnley, and now Burnley is in the Premier League.
Yeah,
and he's their striker. He's really good, and he suddenly just said, I'm not feeling well.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a step backwards and I need to get myself okay. And I liked what the Premier League did and what Burnley did.
Yeah.
They were able to just put up a statement to say, you know what, a certain player, he's just going through some certain issues. He's going to take a step back. And they actually said, they highlighted it has to do with mental illness.
Yeah.
So for me, I liked that to say, they showed a bit of support and they were able to say, you know what, you can step down and everything, get yourself correctly. So like I said, he needed to be the one being able to recognize that, you know what, I'm not okay. I'm not feeling well. And then get the psychologist to intervene so they can read minds. There is, like you said, there's a limit to where they can go. Unless if these players, these athletes come out and say, I'm struggling, I need help, I'm not okay. There's nothing that can be done. Because, like we said, it's big teams. It's a crazy industry out there. You need to always be in your toes. If tomorrow you're not gonna come in, someone is gonna come and replace you.
Yeah,
that's another thing.
So what I'm getting from it as well is that I think that necessarily, like, it's a lot of pressure as well that could also be linked mainly to like the mental illness and whether it's social anxiety, obviously depression as well. Like I'm sure a lot of maybe also even personality disorders, because it's like you're also trying to figure yourself out as a human being as well, Mm-hmm. So I think you are right. It takes a tremendous amount of like mental agility that you need to have. It's like you always need to be on top of your toes in terms of your mental.
And there's a lot of things that, like we said, that contribute to mental, illness. Right now I'm an athlete, I'm good, and now I'm moving to another country.
So those factors,
different languages. You here in South Africa, you know all these 11 official languages. That's what you know of. And then now you're going to play at Spain. You get they don't speak English.
And then it's also things such as like the weather, the food, the
diet, a lot of things.
Yeah.
And now you're not performing the way you used to be when you were here. Now you're in another country, no family, no support system, you don't have friends, the language is a barrier itself, and already you don't have anyone to talk to. So those are the things that we also need to consider, that, as a player can put pressure and you don't perform so well and then you get into depression. And remember, you went to another country and we are expecting you to be playing, we're expecting you to put in the same performances as you should. And then that does not happen.
Yeah. Wow, that is actually so insightful. So what do you think we could just do better? You can even keep it short and sweet. I definitely know that, fans, let's step up, Let's sometimes be very cautious and careful.
I think
so. Yeah, sorry, you may go.
Sorry. I think what we can do is, firstly, as fans, as supporters, let's remind each other, they are people. That's the first thing. They are people. So I know you love your sport. I know you love it so much. But at the end of the day, they're not there to make you happy. They're also at work.
Okay,
you don't put up the same 100% every day at work. So remind yourself of that. And, be careful in writing things and, going to their DMs and saying certain things.
Ooh.
Let's be careful. Let's remember that as fans. And also the structures of the team, making sure, know your players. I think it's very important for your coach, for your manager to have a relationship with their players, to be able to support if certain players are not okay. So, know your players, have a relationship with players so that you are able to tell, and make it a norm for players to come and say, I need to step down.
Okay, I love that. Just so that I can kind of gather myself, focus on my mental health and illness so that I can move forward.
This is too much for me.
Yeah.
Can I take a step back? And be able to say, it's okay. And then make sure that you helping, not like it's okay, just sit at home, don't come to training, bye. No. That's not what we're saying.
Yeah.
We're saying, what, refer, bring in people who are going to help that athlete.
Yeah, no. Beautifully said. After that, I don't even know what to say because that was so beautifully said. So, sis, thank you so much for coming. We definitely are going to have you back because I think sports, like I said, it's ever evolving, it's changing. It's such a beautiful thing, So I think that from years to come, this will actually be the same conversation, but completely different. So once again, thank you so much for coming in. I really do appreciate it. Can you please tell all of our viewers where we can find this beautiful lady, this beautiful, smart lady?
Please follow me on TikTok. It's called Game On with Sabina. If you love football mostly, I'm your sports analyst. let's engage there. And also on a YouTube, Game On with Sabina. And then my Instagram is just Sabina Nkomondo. That's that.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. Okay, guys. So if you guys would like to email us any comments, anything you guys would like us to touch on, please don't forget it is mattersandmore@gmail.com. TikTok as well. We are there, guys, as well. That's Matters and More. Instagram. Thank you so much once again, guys, for the interaction. We really do appreciate it. Check us out on Instagram as well at Matters and More. And yeah, that's it from us.